Welcome, friends and neighbors, to another episode of Influences by Steve Bonino. Today I have the great pleasure of interviewing the band BlissBliss, which features Lang Bliss, who's a guitar player and a drummer, and Renee Bliss, who's the vocalist of the band. They also are helped with guitarists Mark Lee Townsend, Kurt Stowe, and Scott Bernard. They're promoting the album Horizons. Let's listen to a little bit of what they had to say. I'm online right now with BlissBliss, the wonderful Sophistopop band, doing some great work. And I was just asking the two Blisses if Bliss was actually a family name. And they said yes, they were born Blisses. I mean,
Yes.
how good is life when you're born blissful? That's pretty darn
Yeah,
cool.
amen. Well, I've often thought, how do I live up to this? I mean, what does that look like? I don't even know, but
So tell us a bit about that family history of the Bliss.
yeah, so that's my dad was Bliss, and the family name is, to my understanding, is of primarily English origin. And I don't know where she got it, but my mom has a Bliss genealogy book that, I mean, it's big old fat book, and we got it when she passed away. And it shows the family history back, I think, into, was it the 1500s or
1500s, yeah.
1500s. And so it starts with the story of I think his name was Paul Bliss. I need to go back and read some more, but they were in England at the time that they began a lot of persecution of the church and believers in England at the time. And so he was in jail. At least the story starts out that he had been arrested for his faith in some form or fashion. And then he sent his two sons and said, leave, you need to get out of here. Otherwise,
that was like back toward Mayflower times.
Before that, actually.
Yeah, it might have been
way
before that. Yeah.
And so the move occurred from that point, I think, in the story, where his sons took their families and started moving, trying to get here to the new world, so to speak. But that's rough. I'm not getting in all the details correctly, but the
Renee,
basic story.
I assume you became a Bliss by marrying this wonderful gentleman.
Yeah.
And how did that exactly happen? How did your marriage go down? How did your romance start? Where did the bliss begin for you?
Okay, so back in 1980, well, let's see, I moved to Nashville from Colorado. I'm not originally from Colorado, but I lived out there with some friends, and we were in a little local group, and I met a promoter who did a lot of concerts at Colorado State University, and she primarily worked with artists. The only artist that you may or may not even know of is an artist by the name of Amy Grant.
Of course.
And she was on tour, and through that connection, I ended up being on the road with Amy. So when Lang and I met, I was touring at the time, but the crazy part was I was off the road for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks of the tour were canceled because Amy had some vocal issues with her voice, and she was actually told by her doctor, no talking for 2 weeks to heal this. So literally, I'm visiting with a friend of mine who had moved from Colorado, and he said, "Hey, my new roommate's moving from California today." I said, "Okay, that's cool." I said, "Well, we were planning on getting lunch, but we were going to actually go eat lunch somewhere, but we decided to just grab like some takeout food and just kind of hang out at my friend's apartment until his new roommate came in." And I literally met Lang the day he pulled in from driving all the way from California. And that's how the relationship started. I mean, obviously we hung out, got along, hit it off really well, and just kind of hung out as friends, during that period of time. And then it just kind of moved into more of a serious relationship. And so this was in 85, and we got married in 86.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. And that's how I became a Bliss.
I've got an interesting little side story. The very same day I moved into the apartment complex, we're unloading my pickup truck, which didn't have a ton in it.
Mhm.
And I see a guy unloading out of his car. And I'm like going, and he had, I'm pretty sure, I think I remember that he had a California plate on his car. And he looked
Yeah.
like he was taking some stuff. And I'm going, I know who this guy is, I'm pretty sure. And I walk over there and I go, are you Pops Popwell? And he goes, yeah, how'd you know? I go, dude, I saw you playing for, I remember seeing him playing in like for Olivia Newton-John. He's an amazing bass player, Pops Popwell. And I can't remember his first name. He just happened to be moving in the same day into the same apartment complex. It just was like, oh my gosh, you know,
Yeah.
moving from California. It was just crazy. But
So
anyway.
it took Popswell's strange kismet moment to make you guys solid as a relationship, or what's going on?
Our relationship was solid when I helped him carry his gear into the apartment. I was like,
dude, it was
where do I find my Renee who's going to help me carry my gear?
Yeah. Well, here was the crazy part about it. So our mutual friend who I'd known for years, and he worked for the same company that I did on the road. Anyway, he goes, yeah, I've got a friend who's singing for this girl named Amy Grant. And I've never even heard of her. I didn't listen to Christian music that much. And so he goes, yeah, they're going to be out in California and they're doing a show with Philip Bailey. And I loved, at the time, the record was The Chinese Wall. Right. It was, you know, Phil Collins that produced Easy Lover and stuff. Yeah. And I went, oh.
How long ago was that? Well, how long was that before you moved to? It was like
not that long.
Like 3 months or something?
Not even that,
it was 3 months before we met.
Maybe not. Yeah. Right. I mean, it was not very long. Yeah. But I go to the record store and I'm like looking for back in the day when record stores were awesome, you know, and I see these flats hanging all over the place for this. Who in the heck is Amy Grant? I'm like, what? You know. Anyway, so I go to the show and I find out it's Philip Bailey opening up for Amy Grant. I'm like, what? You know, like, what world are we in? You know, like this no-name person I've never even heard of is the headliner and Philip Bailey's the opener. Anyway, so he said to me, though, my friend said, well, she's one of the background singers. And so I saw her on stage before I ever met her. And so when she's like carrying,
that was at the, was that at the,
that was,
that wasn't the Greek theater.
No, it was at Concord, the Concord Pavilion.
Because it was it was outside. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought it was the weirdest thing. Like, I just couldn't get my head wrapped around this chick who I'd seen on stage carrying one of my boxes. I told her, stop, you don't have to do that. That's not, you know, because like I had in my own mind, like what people who I think are famous should or shouldn't do, you know. And she was famous as far as I knew, you know, like, and it was so funny. Anyway.
What a very interesting story. But Renee, thank you for moving equipment for us musicians. We never say.
Oh yeah. I should be getting roadie pay because I have helped him so many times with the drums, just different gigs and where he's played with other people. You know, it's just like setting up in a club or something. And I'm trying to help him put up his kit and tear down his kit and put it in the boxes. I still can't figure out how to use those straps. But anyway, I'm like going, how does this feel again? You know? Yeah.
So let's real briefly just talk about how you guys started your instruments. You as a drummer, Lang, and you as a singer. Just where did it all start? Where was your inception of your talent, your discovery of it, and how did it blossom?
For me, when I was about 9-10 years old, my stepdad had he was into music and he loved swing music. And my mom she went to Music and Art High School in New York City.
So did I.
I saw that, dude. I forgot that I saw that. Yeah.
I went to Music and Art High School in New York.
Yeah. She was in the very first graduating class of Music and Art.
No, that was not me then.
No, that was quite a bit before your time.
All of our time.
Yeah. And I won't. There's a whole story about that, but I won't go into it. But so we would have these little times where we'd sit in their bedroom where they had the big stereo set up, and we just I'd listen to swing music. I mean, we listened to all those big artists of that time. Benny Goodman, Glenn Miller, Kay Kaiser, all these different, awesome swing artists. And I just loved it. And I'd start tapping on the chair. Well, at some point in time, I guess I had been hitting things for so many times, irritating my family probably to no end. And my mom and dad went and found a little Gretsch drum set, 60s blue sparkle Gretsch drum set somewhere. And it just showed up in the garage one day. And I was like, oh my gosh, and I just freaked out and just began the process of every day I'd come home from school and I had this we had junk in the basement and sitting on top of some cabinets or something that weren't being used. I had this old radio and I would just come home and I would go down to the basement and I'd turn the radio on and I just play to the radio as much, and just, learning how to coordinate, stuff. And
how lucky you were to have a basement. I have so many friends who have drum sets that cannot play them in apartments or even their own homes if they're too close to the next house. You were very blessed with the ability to actually hit them and not be chastised. Congratulations.
Right.
Yeah.
My mom and dad were very, very supportive of me in that way. And I know that had a lot to do with why I, pursued it. Otherwise, the one thing they didn't want to do was put a basketball goal up on the garage. My dad just like, no, we're not doing it. So I never pursued, sports because of that and did pursue music. I mean, it's funny, those decisions probably help direct a course,
Well, you do a beautiful job. You played beautifully on the album.
Well, before we get too deep into this really fascinating conversation, let's play a song from the album, shall we? This is the first number on the album called Your Number's Up.
Just real quick before we get to you, Renee, I saw there's 4 guitar players on here.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
want to compliment the incredible guitar work on your album.
Oh man,
Are
thank
you doing any of those solos, Lang, or are you playing rhythm?
No, I did rhythm parts on a few songs, but I'm definitely not a lead player.
Whoever played leads on every one of those songs, whether it be Mark Lee Townsend, Kurt Stowe, or Scott Bernard,
Yeah.
there were times when I felt like I was listening to Steely Dan's caliber solos. And that's some of the best work I've ever heard in my life. So that's congratulations.
Wow. I'm honored, and I agree about those
Yeah.
guys. I mean, Mark's played with a whole bunch of artists. Kurt hasn't played with a ton of artists, but he's just an amazing player.
Incredible player, yeah.
And then Scott Bernard's last gig was Kenny Loggins. He was the lead player for Kenny Loggins for probably 8-10 years, something like that. So these guys just are friends and live around us. And Mark and I go way, way back. And Mark is he's a phenomenal talent. All of them are, literally.
Yeah, I second that. Well, Renee, it's your turn. Tell me a little bit about how you when did you find your voice and the passion for it?
Well, when my mom has told me that I always had even as a little kid, loved music. The radio would be on or something, and I'd be dancing around the house trying to sing, that kind of thing. And so I grew up in the neighborhood I grew up in. It was a multiracial neighborhood. And from the time I can remember as a kid, my dad he had a full-time job, but he enjoyed roller skating. And so we would go roller skating every Monday night and on Saturdays. And the owner of the skating rink played. This is very interesting. It's because this will kind of show you the time. I grew up in the 60s. I was younger than the Vietnam group of people. We're a little bit younger than that. But during the 60s, Motown music was huge. And the skating rink that I went to, the owner of it, the segregation thing had ended. And so there was always anybody could show up at any time to go to the skating rink. It used to be that on certain days, it was primarily for African Americans, and on other days it wasn't. But that all changed. But you know what? Nobody switched or changed, because on Monday night and on Saturday nights, the guy that owned a skating rink always played Motown and soul. It was always Motown and soul. And so from the earliest times as a kid, I remember going with my dad to the skating rink, and we were jamming and skating and grooving to Motown, James Brown, Aretha Franklin, all of the great R&B stuff that came out of that era. And it's for me, it was infectious. I loved it. And so also too, I used to watch the Ed Sullivan Show religiously. Some people listening to this probably have no idea who Ed Sullivan Show is, but if you were a band and you went on the Ed Sullivan Show, I mean, that was huge. I remember seeing the Beatles at one point in time on the Ed Sullivan Show. But for me, because I was a little younger than that generation of people, I remember walking in the door on a Sunday night, and the Jackson 5 were on the Ed Sullivan Show with their song, I Want You Back, which was their very first hit song. And I went, I'm going to do that. And from that point on, I was of course, my mom actually took me, my very first concert was the Jackson 5 when I was 9. And they were from Gary, which is about, from where I was born, it's almost in Chicago. So Chicago's about 3 hours away, 3.5 hours away from where I lived in Indiana. And I was like, and that just made it even more exciting to me. Oh, they're from Indiana. Yay. So from that point on, I was like, I just got bit by the bug. Huge, didn't, it wasn't until it was in high school, I actually got into choir and all that kind of stuff. And, we did all kinds of music and stuff. But I mean, I always went back to the R&B, Motown, just all of the Temptations, all of that kind of stuff. So I got in choir, got into every musical thing I could think of. So it's interesting too, because when I was in high school, was really into R&B, but I loved rock music, like progressive rock, like Yes, Queen, well, Queen wasn't really progressive, but Yes was huge, Roundabout, and that record was absolutely
Fragile.
Yeah, so a lot of the bands that I was hanging around with, they were doing that kind of music. The band I was in was doing more heavy rock, not heavy metal, but just hard rock music. So I just feel like the experience of the R&B stuff, and even being around some of the rock stuff, and I would even say with Amy, was the pop thing. I kind of had a little bit of a schooling in different styles of music, maybe except country. But anyway, so so I was singing as early as I can remember, and all through, that's what I wanted to do. I knew when I was 9 years old, I was like, I'm doing this.
Well, she's doing it, so I'm not going to stand in the way. Let's listen to Do or Die.
No more pushing papers and
you mind if I ask you about your religious part of your lives?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
So was it in the Amy Grant tour that you began to start in involving yourself with the ministries? I saw you're part of the Different World Ministries,
Mhm.
and you've done
So
the beautiful work of going to prisons. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
helping people who need it so desperately.
Yeah. Well, for me, at that early age at 9, was about the first time that uh, I was going to a local church, at the time, a Methodist church, and that's where I found my faith in the Lord, in Jesus. And so for me, it was kind of like I saw something was bigger than just trying to be in music. Music is, how it is, musical styles and what's huge one decade is not the next. And it's a very, very flowing things that has ebbs and flows in it and stuff like that. But something like faith in God is very steady. And so that really I didn't see it as a negative. I actually saw it as a positive, because it's about sharing the heart. And when we write our music, we're really trying to look at life through the eyes of faith. And we've played, for me, I've done concerts in church, but I've also done clubs. I mean, I haven't for myself ever seen a separation line in that. And with the Amy Grant gig, which, yeah, she was a Christian artist, but I happened to be on tour with her at a time where I think at the time I remember the guys that were the sound people, a lot of these guys, the first tour I did with her, they had just come off of Synchronicity by the Police, which I was like, I love that record. And I loved hearing them talk about all those stories and stuff. And then when they came with Amy was, at that time, it was an Unguarded record. Eventually on the second tour I did, was it Unguarded, the second one? Yeah, it was Unguarded. Amy Grant was filling 17,000 seat arenas. So at the time, she was the second largest touring act behind Tina Turner. So at her impact as a Christian artist, was, a CCM artist, which basically means contemporary Christian artist. She was going way past whatever perceived wall was between genres of music. She was happened to make inroads into the mainstream pop market. So my experience with that even more solidified. It kind of went back to the original desire I had. There was, at that time when I was 9 years old, there was no Christian music market. It's just music, it just happens to be our music for the most part, at least in an underlying way, maybe not specifically obvious, although it can be obvious from song to song. The obviousness of our faith can be more obvious in certain songs than others. But that has always been sort of even from the initial time, it was like, okay, this is the road that we've been on, is felt very natural for us. And yeah, we've probably played every conceivable kind of a gig you can think of. I mean, all kinds of people. We've been in huge, and when he was touring as well, we've been in huge arenas, playing to huge, big, gigantic audiences, and we've been in a homeless shelter with a boombox. I mean, and I find that people are basically the same when it comes to music. It's like music is a wonderful, incredible tool to communicate with people and to build that relationship. And our goal has been that we hope that we can, help people to find some answers for their life that maybe they've been seeking for their whole life. And we try to do that with our lyrics. So that's a little bit of my history. I mean, Lang had a completely different experience, but that was my experience.
Well, let's experience the third song on the album together. It's called Searching For.
Sitting here, it's raining, it's pouring. Just when I'm beginning to make a plan, it gets picked apart. Be steady, my old heart. And I'm searching for summertime. Always wanna get there. Always trying to move to the sunniest state of mind. Gloomy days, I'm always trying to turn my winter into summertime. Only so much coffee that I can drink. It only lasts so much. Waiting for the gray skies to clear. I'm still down here looking up, looking for that rush. And I'm searching for summertime. Always wanna get there. Always trying to move to the sunniest state of mind. Gloomy days, I'm always trying to turn my winter into summertime. Storm clouds for rainfall. Can't wait for perfect skies. Seasons are changing, and this bird, she's just gotta take flight. Hey. And I'm searching for summertime. I always wanna get there. Always trying to move to the sunniest state of mind. Trying to turn my winter into summertime. And I'm searching for summertime. Always wanna get there. Always trying to move to the sunniest state of mind. Gloomy days, I'm always trying to turn my winter into summertime. For summertime. Always wanna get there. Always trying to move to the sunniest state of mind. Trying to turn my winter into summertime. And I'm searching there. Gonna get there. Always trying to move to the sunniest state of mind. Gonna turn my winter into
A band came to my high school when I was a senior, and I was assigned to be the liaison between the band and the school, and I basically liaisoned my whole day off. Thank you, and didn't have to go to class. But they were Christians, but they were playing mainstream music, and I was like, "What is this? This is cool." And sort of the husband and wife managers for the group sort of just kind of took me under their wing for the day, and I began writing them. Like, they played here and they moved on, and so as they were traveling, I was just saying, who are these people? What is this? Why? There's something different, and I didn't know. I couldn't put my finger on it. I think the thing that I felt from them was a very immediate acceptance. And I'm like, I'm some goofy kid at a school in rural Virginia. I mean, like, why in the world would you give me the time of day, other than, hey, where's the theater? Where's the auditorium? Get us the crew, but I don't know why. I mean, it was, and now I look back and I believe it was a God thing, but long story short, they did something that the company had never allowed and didn't allow after. I don't know why. Once again, it must have been a God thing, but they actually had me come out and spend a week with them that in the Easter week of my senior year of high school. So I got on a Greyhound bus, went down to North Carolina where they were at that time and joined them. And I just watched them and hung out with them for a week. And every night before their show, they would have a little Bible study. It wasn't very long. And I just kind of sat in on it and listened. And I was just sort of lovingly, graciously drawn into the understanding of the message of the gospel. And I on the Greyhound bus ride back from North Carolina to Virginia, I just made that choice that it just felt like the course. I wasn't nobody sat and said, do you want Jesus in your, it was just me on my own and the Holy Spirit, God speaking to me. And it felt like the most obvious decision I had ever made. And
were being people of faith part of your decision-making process, that you'd be acceptable as partners for each other?
Oh yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had been in some relationships prior, just living out of a lot of my own really wrong habits during that time, which we could all elucidate, I'm sure,
So yeah.
But I mean, I was getting high and sleeping with people and, just a lot of stupid things that you do when you're a teenager, And luckily nobody got pregnant, nobody went to jail. I didn't, end up shooting myself or anybody else, thank the Lord, and and I just wanted somebody, I wanted to marry somebody, and this may sound a little odd, but for me, it was like, I needed to know that whoever I married loved God more than they loved me, because I thought I cannot live up to the expectation of anybody who's looking for me to be God to them in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that's stuff I had felt before. Like, I don't know what your expectations are, but I can't do that. I can't be what you're looking for. And so Renee was like, she had all that settled in her mind and heart. And so I thought, okay, I could probably, because I'm going to be a screw up. I'm pretty sure of this. I'm going to mess this up a lot. And if you think I'm the guy who's going to end up being, your knight in shining armor, it ain't going to happen. And because
is there such a thing in the world?
I don't think
I don't
so.
know any knights in shining armor. We're all
I don't either.
People that have problems. We try to make the best of it.
Right.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't want that responsibility of trying to live up to that. I wouldn't want to try to be a knight in shining armor.
Well, no, and I think it's kind of, maybe they're just unspoken things, between people, unspoken expectations, when you get into a relationship, and we still had them. It wasn't like they didn't exist, but that part of it where there's some kind of larger than life expectation, which is maybe what I felt at some point in these previous relationships. I thought, I can't go there. I'm too aware of my own foibles, I guess. Is that the right word? Anyway.
My answer will be much shorter. He's the first drummer I met that wasn't a complete lunatic. So this is hilarious. I was having a conversation one time with a keyboard player when I was on tour, and I had this whole list of, okay, here's what I want in a person. And I literally, this is fun. Will be funny. I said, I am not going to marry a drummer, because of all the musicians I knew, they were all okay and semi-mentally fit. Most of the drummers I knew were like, I was like, this guy is insane. So I didn't want anything to do with the drummer. But after I realized, wow, I'm really putting a limit on who could possibly be, the perfect person for me. That would be really unfair to throw every drummer into the absolutely
Under
not
the bus.
under the bus.
Throw 'em
So
under the bus.
anyway, no, I mean, there were other deeper reasons for that, but Lang was a drummer. So
The
I
only
had to
not
throw-
insane drummer that she ever knew. So
Let's listen to the playing of the only not insane drummer in the world, Mr. Lang Bliss. This is called Drive.
I was 16 when I caught that bug. I couldn't wait too much to do. There were those who drove within the lines that I just rolled right on through. There's a road that leads straight out of town, paved with hope and attitude. I just had to break away, 'cause I could hear my heart say, open the door up, step inside, grab onto that wheel and drive. The alarm goes off at 5 a.m. No more catching Z's for me. Too much to do. I could
I think
Yeah.
I know someone that's borderline not insane, but just borderline. I just want to say you guys look so happy together. You're doing wonderful musical work. You're doing wonderful work for the world. So my hat's off if I was wearing one. And I wish you lots of love. I wish you lots of success with your projects. I hope you do get some investment so you can continue the path that you're on. I know it costs a lot of money to do the work, but I hope you get it. And I just wish you all the best in the world.
Yeah, so while we're wishing, I wish to hear another song. Let's listen to Crimson Love.
Torn bits of paper thrown round the bedroom. I'm here again, still looking for some light. Prayers from a diary, whispered in the nighttime, searching for a reason to go on. But hope says I won't leave your side, and every tear that you cry, I'll wipe away from your eyes. Oh, millions of pages lost throughout the ages, gone just like the setting of the sun. But redemption sings a song that tells a different story, a story that remembers everyone. A hand draws a red line through time, 'cause I was deaf and I was blind, but love wouldn't leave me behind. Oh, a crimson love spilled on the ground. The story turns around. Eons ago, it all came down. The story turns around on the holy ground. A crimson love comes flowing down. The story turns around
would you like me to send people to buy your Horizons album? What's the URL?
For Peacock Sunrise stuff, it's going to be the Bandcamp page, so blissbliss.bandcamp.com.
Got it.
Mhm.
I just wish you all the best in the world.
Man, thank you,
Yeah,
Steve.
thanks.
Dude, it's been such an honor to meet you too.
Yeah.
Listen to your music, love it. It's very cool. Got to
Alrighty.
do some gigs together.
Amen.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to. Hopefully,
That'd be awesome.
we'll be opening up for Amy Grant again.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
Have a good one. Thanks, Steve.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You can really feel the love coming from that couple right there. Just wonderful people. I'd like to close the show out today with an original from the album Ireland by the band Bomber Goggles. This is the song Renewable World. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and so much love.